So are we rolling?
Yeah, we're rolling.
Cool. All right. So if it's okay, what I'd like to do, even though we've been talking about more and more about the both the relevance and the refuge of being in the now, I'd like to go back to the roller coaster of random thought again. I'd really like to focus in on that because we referenced it, but only kind of in passing. And
Hmm.
was it? I think it was you who said, "Well, how do you get in the present?" Yeah, was that you or was that Sam? I was
It
talking to
might have been
Sam.
somebody else, but
Okay.
we can go with it.
Okay. Well, to begin with, the way to come back to the now is if you find yourself out of wah, out of harmony. If something's bugging you, something's messing with you, you know what I mean, right? And you catch it, then you can go, okay, what's wrong? Which is the same as at this moment, what do you lack? What's wrong? Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you can go ahead.
I'm just like I was just thinking, like for an example, let's give a random example, like being victimized. Like you're sitting there and you start thinking of something that makes you think that you get that victimization mentality, and you start kind of bitching in your mind about something in the past that doesn't even
Right.
matter.
Well, that's certainly part of it,
Yeah.
but it can be, that you're out of wah, you're out of harmony because you have to pay the electric bill and you don't have the money. I don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not
Exactly.
just
Anything.
it's about again if you find yourself. At least that's what I do. If I find myself throughout my day, in a state of dissatisfaction, yes,
Yeah.
right,
And
it's bugging.
anything. Yeah.
I'm not in law. I'm not in harmony. I'm out of balance, right? And I catch it. It's like, okay, Chris, what's the problem, dude? What's up? And this is not get a grip on yourself. This is actually what's bugging you,
Hmm.
right? This is in part doing the two protocols that come in the meditation, which we're going to get to, at some point fairly soon. But again, so you come back to okay, I'm out of sorts. What's bothering me? And then you peg it, right? And then you have the option to apply the protocols that we use in meditation, right? Do I need to deal with this right now? Do I need to deal with this imbalance, this dissatisfaction, this burden, this responsibility, even this sorrow? Do I need to deal with it right now? Or is nothing bad going to happen if I consciously disengage from it? I am not going to think about this anymore. We have that power. We
Yeah.
have that,
I guess that
even though we do. See, we
yeah, you and me have worked on that concept you were just talking about before in the past, so it's kind of subconscious with inside me, but I definitely think that that is very important to preface all of this, is
I
that you have to assess, the levels of things that are causing you angst or pain or anguish or whatever at the moment,
right.
and then assess them and say, yeah, how bad is it? Which one's the worst? Can I put it off for 10 minutes? And if you can actually put it off, for 10, 20 minutes, maybe it's not so serious that it's so pressing that it's gonna, you know, kill you or
Well,
whatever.
knowledge that you can put it off for 10 minutes or this afternoon or whatever it may be, then ipso facto, by definition, right, you need not be squeezed by this concern. Do you see what I
Right.
mean? Right?
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
don't need to neglect it. You don't need to neglect it, but you do not need to be quietly overwhelmed by it. Do you see
Yeah.
what I mean? And
And
that's what takes us into victimhood is we feel overwhelmed. Yeah?
what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not like it's almost like accounting, or it's almost like you're going through the files and you're like checking them all, and you're making sure that they're all accounted for and nothing's too pressing, and it's
Well,
like a schedule of making accounting or something. It's like it reminds me
in
of something.
therapy, it's called partializing and prioritizing.
Hi.
The
Yeah, exactly.
partializing is the list of it, and this is why with the meditation, after you do the initial breathing to slow down the heart rate and lower blood pressure and get the adrenals to calm down, right? That then allows thought to slow down a little bit. Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Right? Um, so you're sort of doing the same thing, and then you go into what are my concerns? What are the concerns of the day? Right now, if you stop during the day, it can be shit, I'm running 15 minutes late. Like, this is what was happening at Quail Run. I was roaring down Rodeo Road, cursing at people because, of course, Murphy being God, I needed to be fast, and everybody in front of me was going slow.
Of course.
But again, in that moment, if I chose to, it's like, Chris, okay, clearly you are not in a state of open receptivity, which is one of the benefits of everything that we're talking about, is you come back to a place of the mind being relatively quiet, and then you are open to the actual life that is occurring in front of you, wherever you are. You're actually doing that instead of living your narrative of life, which we'll get back to a little bit more in a few minutes. Yeah. But again, it was a really great question. Okay, I hear about it's important to be in the here and now, cleansed with the understanding that my here and now is non-problematic. Yeah. But again, if we have any degree of responsibility, every single day we have different burdens of responsibility and requirement. We do every single day. Yeah. So if we are not dealing with them consciously, then they tend to bubble away preconsciously if we're responsible. See, right? Now,
And
if you are a derelict surfer or something and you're not responsible, then the inroad to coming back to silent mind is slightly different. But we are referencing the fact that the people who are going to be listening to this, if there is anyone, right, will hopefully be people who are, again, in that crucible of dealing with responsibility and the burden of responsibility every single day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got this new client who I'm going to start working with next week, and her complaint, once again, was racing mind and mild, not panic disorder, but anxiety disorder, because, again, she is constantly going over the potential bad that can happen with the clients in her business. Yeah?
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, the initial question is, well, why would you do that over and over and over again? Are you dealing with PTSD? Did somebody sue you or something?
What does she say? Because I mean, most people would probably say yes to those two,
Hi.
Yeah.
But again, unless she is purposely planning how to offset any bad in her work environment so the clients would not sue her, it makes no sense in the world to worry about it blindly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a waste of time.
Hi. It's again. Remember, we're going to be a little bit more potent. It is a waste of lifespan. Yeah. Hi. If you say time, it's like, well, I got time. If you say lifespan, it's a reminder that our time is limited. And it really is in our interest not to waste a whole lot of it over redundant bullshit.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important. I think like what a lot of us kind of fail, or tell me if this is a true or false statement. What a lot of us fail to realize is that our mind and our body are they work together in tandem, and when one is not healthy, the other one's not going to be healthy. And so we always ask, how do I get what tools can I use to help my mind work better or work more efficiently?
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly,
See?
and this is a very simple and
Hi.
logical solution for people to say, like, this is not like a spiritual or woo woo. This is just like assessing the
Very
thing.
practical.
Yeah,
Very practical.
exactly. The
Hi.
realm of things that are causing you troubles at that moment, assessing them all, saying, okay, if none of them are so pressing at this very moment, I can put them away. Maybe if something is so pressing right now, I'll sit up, take care of it, then come back and then go back to this meditation. Okay,
Hi.
what is
Or,
everything?
or life, you see,
Yeah,
or life,
or yeah,
you see.
exactly. Or going back to work or whatever you're doing.
Right. I mean, if I'm
Yeah.
driving around or if I'm walking around and I'm out of sorts because once again I am habituated, as everybody is, to riding the roller coaster of random thought. And again, I have never met anybody who does not acknowledge that that is what they do too. All day long, there is this internal narrative going on that we align with. And then the terrible sorrow with this is then we are not actually living life. We are living our narrative of life. which again, and our narrative, at least my own narrative, I've said this to you for as long as you've known me, fully 85% of what I think is an absolute waste of lifespan. 85%. 15%, which is about coherent planning, right? Maybe taking care of business, taking care of projects, learning stuff, whatever it may be. That is dynamite. That is focused conscious mind. That is different. But insubstantial drifting mind is what we're talking about. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I think for me personally, the worst is when I'm going to bed, when I'm trying to fall asleep, and there's that like hour in between where my mind is just drifting so all over the place, and it's so insubstantial, and it's and it's all just complaints and random past things, regrets, and
You have to do that. You see, what you can do is then go into your breath work. Honest to God, I mean it. Now, if what happens when you get into bed, many people have been taught that when you get into bed before you go to sleep, it's a good idea to review the day. That is so wrong. I just can't even believe it. Right? Yeah. So if you want to review the day at 7 o'clock in the evening, because again, if you review the day, you are going to bump into experiences of the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's going to happen every single day. We have that range of life experience. So if you're going to sleep and you're reviewing your day, you're going to get your adrenals firing.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get racing mind, and then you can't go to sleep. Yeah. So, dude, honest to God, if you can go into lowering your breath, if nothing else, just lowering your breath, right? It'll stop that racing mind, and it will calm down your adrenals. It's much easier to go to sleep. Lots of people.
And for me personally, just the fact that it calms down my adrenals usually helps me fall asleep a lot faster. I usually.
Right, that's the whole point. If your adrenals are firing, it's impossible to go to sleep because your nervous system is in fight or flight. Yeah. And if your nervous system is in fight or flight, you should not be able to go to sleep. You should be getting the hell out of there, right? Even if there's nothing in the here and now that is a threat. You see, this is our lunacy. And this is why this is so important, is, if our roller coaster random thought all day long, now again, at night, we're more conscious of it because we're going to sleep. But the fact is this is happening pre-consciously, for the general public, subconsciously, this is going on all day long. And this is why, for instance, people will say who have panic attacks, well, it came out of nowhere. No, it came out of that pre-conscious material where you are thinking with only half your mind. You are doing drifting, insubstantial drifting mind, but you're drifting into issues and burdens and responsibilities, right, that cause you burden. You understand?
Yeah.
So then you get the increased heightened blood pressure, increased heart rate, heightened adrenals, and then no, you cannot go to sleep. The fact is, all day long this is happening, even while you're doing other things, feeding the cats or going shopping or that insubstantial drifting mind is going on and on and on all day long. And again, we subscribe to it both consciously and subconsciously, preconsciously, right? And this is what gets us in fight or flight in the here and now when there is nothing in our actual physical experience of life that would require us to be in fight or flight. It's not happening. Yeah. So
and when we're going to bed, it's probably it's a lot more it's very wise to do some meditation to lower your heart rate and to kind of quiet your mind so that you can fall asleep. But I guess during the daytime, I don't think, I mean, obviously that is the solution, but I don't think we have to go that far. I think even just the assessing.
No, that far bullshit. All of this takes about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No. Yes, you do go that far. Yeah. And all you're doing is consciously going, I'm bent out of shape. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Then go into breathing. Slow down your breathing because you know that if you're bent out of shape, right, your adrenals are firing. Now, sometimes you need to be bent out of shape. Yes. Right? Seriously. Yeah. If you are in, inner city traffic, let's say, you better be in fight or flight if you're driving. Yeah. Or if you're walking, for God's sake. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're in the comfort of your bedroom and it's 10:30 at night, right? There is, unless your house is on fire, there's no need to be in fight or flight. However, the insubstantial drifting mind, right, takes us into that place of fight or flight. Yeah. So all of this is extra, and this is because we have been trained quietly, right, to review our day when we get into bed at night. That is wrong. It's stupid. Yeah, you don't need to do that anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And it'd be
Yeah, I think
much
what I do is I review my whole life, and not consciously, but it just it's just the drifting mind. But I'll
better.
go into past and future and all kinds of random. I jump all over.
What's the point? What's the
Yeah,
point?
no point. Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is why with the meditation, and again, this is a little premature because if anybody is listening to this, they don't know what we're talking about. But
Yeah,
just so
that's why I was trying
FYI,
to stay away from the meditation part a little bit and just stick to just the
okay, but again,
practical tools.
understand, slowing down your breath is not like doing push-ups. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that hard to go. Okay, I'm going to take a couple of slow breaths.
I
Yeah.
think most people just don't understand why to do it, and so don't understand the effect it actually has, and so they don't see the reason to do it.
Okay, well, here's the reason to do it, right? And again, we'll do this later when we're actually doing a formal one of these things formally with the meditation. But it is documented out of a research project that I think is still going on now for over 30 years out of Harvard and Boston University
Yeah.
with Dr. David Kabat-Zinn, who is a Buddhist Vipassana practitioner. And they have documented, again, that if you slow down your breathing within 8 to 15 rounds of consciously slowing your breath, you will initially you will lower your heart rate. As soon as you slow down your breathing, you will lower your heart rate. As soon as you lower heart rate, you lower blood pressure automatically.
Yeah,
None of this is mystical. This is
just
all
physiology. Yeah,
physical. This is just sound, right? So if blood pressure is high, there is a correlating message from the nervous system to the adrenals telling them that they need to be firing because heightened blood pressure is an indication of fight or flight, you see, right? And then the adrenals kick in to give you that extra energy, right? Which is a very frenetic energy, as you know, right? Which is why if you are in a state of fight or flight and then you come out of it, sometimes your hands will shake or your
yeah,
breathing,
yeah,
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 because again, adrenals are actually they're kind of rough on the nervous system,
mhm,
which is why it is so imperative that we learn how to not be in fight or flight throughout all of our days when there's nothing to be in fight or flight about except what we are thinking. You
yeah,
see,
yeah.
right?
So,
Yeah.
um, just two things really quickly is that one, when I get off of work, that's the time where I'm very in that kind of
Right.
shaky, because
Right. Right.
I'm like my adrenals are trying to shut off, but I'm still
I
like,
understand.
you
I
know,
understand. Right. Right.
and
So go.
and
So
then the second one is with my mom. I think like generally I can go through a day pretty not at odds with the world and not like in a state of fight or flight. But when I'm
that's
with my family,
yourself, right? Yeah.
yeah. But when I go with a family member, it's a lot more fight or flight, generally just throughout the day for no
Right.
reason at all. And I'm just kind of bitching about nothing. And
Right. Right. Got it. Yeah.
yeah.
Ram Dass says, if you think you're enlightened, go hang out with your family for a week.
Yeah, exactly. So exactly. So these are good for even if you think you're perfect, these ideas are always going to helpful and be helpful and beneficial to you because there's always points where we have weak spots and we need to work on those weak spots.
Well, anybody who thinks they're perfect needs to downshift and back up. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, please.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
please.
I'm sure there's not going to be a lot of people watching this, but I bet you if 1,000 people watch this, there's probably one person who's like, "Hey, I know all of this. I don't need to listen to that. I'm perfect."
Right. Well, again, if you know it, but you don't use the tools, then even though you know it, you're not taking advantage of it, which once again
Yeah,
is stupid. Yeah.
yeah.
It's just stupid. The other thing is
But
that you're firing excessively, which is true of all of us,
mhm,
right? If people want a reason to invest in this tool set, your adrenals firing all the time will age you very, very quickly.
that's what I was
Very
thinking.
quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you said it's hard in your system, I was like, yeah, it can't be good for you all the time to be in that state, where you're
Terrible.
wired basically.
Right, you're wired. That is
Yeah,
exactly right. And it actually ages you faster.
yeah,
The same with we breathe terribly, and we tend to do very fast, light breathing, right? Which does not oxygenate, in particular, the brain. The brain requires something like 40% more oxygen than any other part of the body,
yeah.
right? So if we are breathing, we are not feeding the organism with enough oxygen, and it actually makes us stupid over
And
time.
and it doesn't pump blood as well, right? And then we'll actually have less like we'll have weaker limbs and weaker like bodily functions too, because we're not
Well,
pumping as much blood to
it's
the body.
true. That is true. But right now, what we're talking about is the
Yeah, yeah,
respiratory system. Yeah, which again, without good oxygen feeding all of the body from the bone marrow of the femur to your brain. Yeah, I mean that is one of the necessary ingredients not only for health but clarity and longevity. So
yeah.
it's really important. This is really important.
Definitely. But so
Yeah.
I'm two things. Is one thing is that this is super super important. Just the fact what you said about the doctor from Harvard who has broken it down scientifically and physiologically. Just the fact that we can slow our breath down, which slows our heart rate down, which slows our adrenals down, slows our blood rate and adrenals down. And those are factual things. And I think if most people heard that, that would help them a lot more with the on road into meditation because that's so logical, makes so much sense.
Well, listen, maybe next time let's do the meditation so that if people are interested, then they will have the follow up to actually try this out.
Yeah.
Because the other thing, as you know from meditation, right, and I know from meditation, is once you go through the initial difficulty of aligning with the tool, which is true of any valuable tool, just like you with the saw, right? There is that interim period of gaining affinity with the tool that causes some stress. It's difficult until you get it,
Mhm.
right? And this is why, for instance, when I do it in my practice with people, I tell them, really, you need a minimum of 12 sessions over 3 months to actually integrate this so that you can use it effectively. It takes a little bit of time, yeah, because it is a tool, so it takes acclimating to, yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize with it is that, oh, I've tried meditation and it didn't do anything for me.
Right.
Well, how long would you try it? And it's like, well, I tried it even maybe I tried it for a year. Well, it's like, well, I mean, that's a long time. It's a good amount of time. But I think you have to try these things for like, what does Kung
That-
Fu say?
how you're doing the meditation, you
Yeah,
see, right?
yeah,
And
hi,
this is why I maintain that using not just Oriental references of meditation, but also clinical hypnotherapeutic references of meditation and blending them together. And that is the meditation that I taught you, and this is the meditation I teach everybody, because initially we're working on using breath to calm down the physiology, because almost everybody, their complaint with meditation is that when I start doing it, my mind starts to race,
hmm
right? Well, the fact is, your mind isn't really starting to race, it's already racing, but you're actually focusing not on being in the thought, but looking at the thought.
yeah,
See? That, by the way, is the initial beauty of meditation, is it separates you from the river of thought, which is also like the river of sludge in Ghostbusters. I swear,
yeah,
yeah, it is filled with bad shit. It's just
yeah,
filled with bad shit. And again, if we are riding that insubstantial negative mind all day long, into night, and then we carry it into sleep
yeah,
even. You know, small wonder that if you ask a person, how's life? they will say, life is burdened. My life is burdened. I'm a victim, because they're not living the life that is happening right in front of them, wherever they may be. They are living their narrative about whatever is in front of them, or what they are carrying.
Yeah.
And this, in the meditation, when I'll say, okay, bring up the list of today's concerns. And as you know, then I say, it does not have to be specific to today. You may be thinking about something that happened 10 years ago, right? But you apply the same tool, right? Is anything bad going to happen if I let go of this concern for the duration of my meditation, whatever that may be, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever you've decided, right? Is anything bad going to happen if I let go of this concern, responsibility, burden, right, for that duration, right? And then if you go down the list and you do that, then at the least you will come back to the acknowledgement, because you've done it, right? That at the least, this here and this now, is not problematic.
Yeah. And it's funny because most people would probably say it's easy for them to do that while they're working with you, because they're in a scheduled setting where they have an hour free time, to not worry about other things. But then the double standard with that is, how hard would it be to just take an hour of your day any day and say, I'm going to, dedicate this hour to that thing and do that every single day?
Yeah, well, first off, it doesn't have to be an hour. You can start to be, 10 minutes.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? And again, to anybody who hears this and we do the meditation, wants to try it, as dear old Suzuki Roshi says, when you start meditating, say that you're going to do it 5 minutes, 3 days a week. That's it. He says you do not want the thing that is supposed to cure burden to become another burden.
Yeah.
So you start light. You touch it lightly. You just do a few minutes. Just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
In LA, I was very regimented because I had a small window of time throughout the day for free stuff, because I had to work from 11 to like 1, take like a 1 hour break, and then work from like 2 to 10 or 2 to 10 or something. It was a crazy schedule, but so I'd wake up, make my bed, take a shower, and then I had like 5 minutes to meditate before I had to walk to work, like the 30, 40 minutes to walk. And I did that, every day.
Is that once you get the meditation down, then you can do the meditation walking to work.
Yeah, yeah, and I definitely did that.
You can do the meditation standing online at the supermarket, you see?
Or at work while you're washing dishes or doing whatever you have to do.
Doing something that does not require, real focus of conscious mind. Yes, you can do it throughout the day. Yeah. Seated meditation, be this yoga or Zen meditation or Taoist meditation or whatever, all the different meditations, even prayer in the Western world, it is practiced when you do it formally in a seated position, either seated Western or seated Eastern, with your feet in your lap, whatever it may be. The fact is that is practice for the other, what they call in Buddhism, the other 3 modes of being, which is lying down, standing, and walking. So there's lying down, there's sitting, there's standing, and there's walking. Right? Those are the 4 positions of life. Where you do seated meditation, because it's the easiest then to, again, attain Mushin and all that kind of stuff, right? But it is for practice for all of life. All of life. You're not just doing, for years, I would do meditation, and then I'd stop meditating, I'd go right back into the roller coaster. I mean, as I'm getting off the cushion.
Yeah,
back into the roller coaster, right, of insubstantial drifting mind. Well, again, and again, nobody told me this, you see? So this is why the meditation that I developed, and it took a couple of years to get it together. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really did. Right. Well, the fact is that, so many people, almost everybody I've worked with has said that they've done meditation in the past. Almost everybody says that they don't particularly like it because, again, of racing mind and then being uncomfortable and blah, 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 blah. Right? Yeah. So then when they do the meditation the way I present it, where they spend the initial amount of time working with breath to calm the physiology down. You understand? then it is much easier to be in the now with open mind instead of being in the now, right, with the mind then racing with burden.
Yeah, no, and I think that's why it's very cool and important what you do at the end when for your meditation when you say don't think about anything or do anything, just open your eyes and take in the colors and the shapes and stuff like that. It gives the person a moment to not have to go back into that insubstantial mind right away, insubstantial drifting mind right away, and actually just kind of focus on just experience.
Just be.
Yeah.
Just be. And the astonishing thing, now this is true, again, always the acknowledgement, once again, as dear old Ram Dass said, and I'm focusing on Ram Dass because there's this new guy at Quail Run who was friends with Ram Dass and helped start Lama up in Taos back in 1967. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right? And by the way, he's also a guy who trained with Chengmen Jing. That's the guy who I've showed you on the videos, who, he's considered maybe the best Tai Chi Chuan practitioner of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, we're talking about our time in the past, and the impact and the influence of Baba Ram Dass, dear old Richard Alpert. So now I forgot what Ram Dass said that was so good.
Yeah, I just spaced it too. What were even insubstantial drifting mind and focusing, looking at being here in the now, looking at the colors and being, and not going back into drifting mind right away when you come out of meditation.
To anybody who has enough leisure to be hearing this and then spits on the ground saying, look, I am burdened. Right? Mm-hmm. I acknowledge, as dear old Ram Dass said, you do not talk about fasting to a starving man, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, what's a fast? I'm already fasting, thank you. It's like, how about a sandwich? Yeah, yeah. So again, we need to be clear that for so many billions of human beings on the planet and so many trillions of other beings on the planet, life is very compromised and very hard unto illness and death. I get it. It's true. But that is not happening for me. And that's not happening for me now as a 70-year-old, yeah, for a huge portion of my life. Yeah. Now, along with the standard slings and arrows, I lost it love. I'm divorced. My parents are dead. A number of my friends are gone. I found out yesterday that another dear old friend of mine who I've known for 30 years died in April. Yeah, me too. Yeah. But the fact is that still, even with the burden of life, the fact is for you and I, and for, again, anybody who has the leisure to invest in social media for an hour, yeah, mm-hmm. Yes, that indicates that at least some of their life is already benign enough, yes, that they can use these tools and make their lives more benign. Mm-hmm. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah, with the way that we have been taught in our culture, even if you have a relatively happy, joyful life, you could, not me or you, but people might get to the end of it and be like, looking back and say, oh, my life sucked because I didn't do XXX, or I have all these problems happen to me, instead of saying, look at what I'm healthy, like I made it here. I've made it to the end of my life. I every day, most of my days were not filled with severe pain or trauma. There was moments of that, but on the day-to-day basis, it was actually not that bad. But instead of saying that, people will just say, oh, I missed out on this, or I didn't do this, or then they'll just say it's all bad. And I think that's just kind of how our society has taught us. But with these ideas, it's very important to know these ideas so that you can rework those, those bad lessons we've been taught.
I mean, there's not going to be a whole bunch of people my age listening to these things if anybody does listen to them. My hope is, again, that young people will listen to this. And, the answer is, if you're at the end of your life and look back, and this is what I've said to you endlessly, I refuse to step into death looking back at my life, realizing that I've spent my life in blind complaint. This gift that I spent all of it in blind complaint. I will not do that. I won't do it. Yeah. And I don't do it. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, I did not wake up to these ideas, which I've been reading about since I was 17, for God's sake. You know, all of Hinduism, all of Buddhism, all of Taoism has all these ideas in it, all of them. Baba Ramdas, Richard Alpert was not the first be here now guy any more than Eckhart Tolle was the first be here now guy. The Taoists were talking about being here now 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. There's very, very, very wise people who have been dealing with these issues for thousands and thousands of years, and so you know it might be wise to look outwards for some guidance in that in that category.
From these people. Now, a
Yeah.
good inroad, I mean, Eckhart Tolle, everything that I've ever read about what he says is spot on. It's right on the money, right? He needs to say this comes out of ancient psychology. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, exactly.
right. Right. This comes out of China and India. Yeah, yes, and again, as such, right? Its expression, with the exception of doing an initial calming down of the physiology. Yeah, yeah. There is nothing in Samkhya, which is the formal name of yoga. Yeah, there is nothing in Buddhist meditation practice or the range of all the different yogas, right? Where they do acknowledge breath, and they do start with generally with Zen. The initial Zen meditation practice is counting your breath 1 to 10, right? But again, if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, instead of 1, 2. You understand where you're consciously slowing down the breathing. Without that addition, right, you're not going to calm the adrenals,
Hmm.
and then your mind will continue to race. And then meditation can truly be a trial instead of a release,
Yeah.
instead of a hot tub, for God's sake. Yeah,
There, there's a bazillion people out there, like making like I don't know different like on roads into meditation. Like this is what meditation. This is how you do meditation. What you never knew about meditation, or like what 10 things about meditation you never knew, or like all these things. And 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 what I see amongst my peer group.
some of which is valid. I got to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
something.
I'm not saying it's invalid, but I'm saying I think what I see amongst my peer group is a lot of people are confused. Not even just my peer group. A lot of people that I see in the world are just confused about just 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 the practical application of it, how it can be how it can practically be applied to your life.
You mean how
And
it can impact on your life?
if you apply it, or just the practical application, like how,
Why would you do that if you don't see any benefit? You
I
won't.
guess, yeah, both of those things, yeah.
Yeah. So this is why I'm specifically talking about what happens physiologically. Yeah. Yeah. And again, this does come out of clinical hypnotherapy. It does. Now, it has its foundation still with meditation practices that come out of Asia. It does. Yeah. But again, like anything else of value, yeah, there's this continuous fine tuning going on.
Hmm.
Yeah. Right? Somebody else might find, well, Chris, you don't need to do that many deep breaths. I don't know, right? But the fact is, this is an ongoing merging with the tool. You understand?
Yeah.
Just like you with the saw or hammer, whatever it may be, yeah? And then once you gain the affinity with it, you can do amazing things with the tool.
Yeah.
It's the
It,
same with meditation.
it's just
Yeah?
like gung fu, it's repetition, doing it lots of times, and gaining affinity with it, and then it can be applied to all different forms of life. It doesn't just have to be fighting, it can be doing the dishes or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So just for anybody listening to this, Gong Fu in Mandarin translates into English as uh, um, uh, uh, polish through repetition, alignment with polish through repetition. That's what Gong Fu
Yeah.
means. Yeah. Gong, as you know, means attention to or alignment with. Qi Gong. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and Fu is polish through repetition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is why, again, Gong Fu can be writing poetry, it can be building a wall, it can be painting a house, yeah, it can be raising your child, yeah. It applies to any action in life.
Mm.
The real name for martial Gong Fu is Wushu, which means war art in Mandarin. That's the correct term for it. Even though in America we all know the same process of teaching, learning tools as Gong Fu. Yeah.
Right. And probably most people in America just know wushu as like the Jackie Chan wushu that he does, the Peking wushu that's kind of like opera-esque
Yeah.
wushu.
Well, by the way, that you're right. It's called Peking Wushu, right?
Right.
Even though Peking's no longer called Peking.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that or you go first.
Well, and this is why with the meditation, each round I do bring up the fact that this has been researched currently. You dig in our time. The astonishing benefit. Now with biofeedback and all the rest of it, we can measure degrees of calm that comes out of this tool called meditation. And you can use meditation for many, many, many different things. Many different things.
So
Yeah.
so throughout our episodes, we've kind of been working like the last episode was the first time we kind of hinted at meditation, and this is the first time we really kind of delved into it. But so I think the next episode we'll really go into it. We can do the whole meditation, And I think
Well,
it's just been good to kind of I liked how we have been. If you watch any of these videos sequentially, we've kind of worked in the meditation into it, and so like I'm just thinking it all kind of comes down to that to some degree, But everything we're talking about is just
primary tools. That's one of the primary
yeah,
tools. It really is.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, um, anyway, man, we got to stop. So that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
And yes. So if I space because I'm old, right? Remind me that we talked about doing the meditation next round. Okay. So next round, remind me if I space, and let's actually do a standard. What I've done with you many times. We'll just go through the meditation again, and then people can use it if they want.
I'll post it with like a little bit of a different title. You can give me the specific title and we can work on it, but I'll do something like the introduction to this type of meditation, how to guide or something like that,
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. All right, man. So love to you, and I'll
All right.
see you more for Qigong.
All right. Love you too, man. Take care.